Wow. So Bill Haney making a bold statement in his recent tweet. You already know Bill Haney, manager, trainer, father of Devin the Dream Haney, said Mexican fighters get praise for effort. They just have to fight and they get love. Black fighters have to not just win, but win big. And only when they might get a little respect. Well, there's going to be people out there that agree with Bill Haney. There's going to be people out there that disagree with Bill Haney. There might be people that's confused by the statement and say, you know what, he's race baiting or he's just, using a self-victimhood mentality, right? And at the end of the day, is what's the nature and the spirit of the tweet? Now, yes, the Mexican fan base, one of the most loyal fan base in the sport of boxing, one of the most supporting fan base in the sport of boxing, and lucrative fan base in the sport of boxing, they appreciate the effort of their countrymen. They do. Yes, they care about their fighters winning, but at the end of the day, it's still a fight. And they appreciate the effort. They understand the fight game and appreciate the fight game and the spirit of a warrior probably more than any other culture in North America. Let's be real, let's be honest. They're one of the best fan bases, right? Or the premier fan base. And yes, it's almost like when Pitbull Cruz fought Gervonta Tank Davis. And yeah, Pitbull Cruz didn't win, but the Mexican fan base appreciate the effort of Pitbull Cruz. He ain't cheat the fan, he ain't cheat himself. He did whatever he needs to do in reference to whatever, his skill set allows him to do to perform at the highest level. And the Mexican fans appreciated that. Feel me? At the end of the day, I always say on my channel, y'all already know y'all tuning in to Punch Drunk Boxing, a.k.a. Mr. Moo, shot himself. I always say that everything is not about winning and losing, but it's how you win and how you lose, right? It's the how. But Bill Haney should add on to his statement. And the reason why black fighters and his feelings, and it could be true, that black fighters have not just win, but win big, and only when they might get a little respect. But, well, where the respect is coming from? From where? From your own culture, from your own people. Because why wouldn't the black fan base, the culture appreciate the fighters like the Mexican culture does, or like the UK fan does, or like the Irish fan does, or the Japanese fan base? Maybe the culture is the one to blame, the black culture, that they not highly supportive like any other culture in the sport of boxing, right? In comparison to the Mexican culture. It's not saying that the Mexican culture doesn't want their fighters to win. They want Canelo Alvarez to win. They want Virgil Ortiz to win. They want Fundura to win, right? They want Bam Rodriguez to win. Juan Francisco Estrada to win. Navarrete to win. Ryan Garcia to win. Even the Mexican Americans, right? David Benavidez to win. They hold their culture down. And I'm not saying that people don't hold Gervonta Tank Davis down, but you can see there's a split. There's always some kind of divide in the black culture when it comes to sport of boxing. It's like you can't be a Gervonta Tank Davis fan if you're a Devin Haney fan, right? You can't be a Shakur Stevenson fan and then be a Devin Haney fan at the same time, right? It's always a split. Look, at the 154-pound division, we would love to see Virgil Ortiz versus Fundura, but we don't divide them. We don't be like, oh, this guy. Like, we don't bring Virgil Ortiz down to bring Fundura up. But in the black culture, we bring down Gervonta Tank Davis to uplift Devin Haney and vice versa. We bring down Shakur to bring up Tank. It's almost like in the hip-hop, right? Back in the days, if you was a Biggie fan, you can't be a Tupac fan. If you was a Nas fan, you can't be a Jay-Z fan. If you were Kendrick Lamar, you can't be a Drake fan. It's almost, there's only one guy that can make it in the hood, right? It's not a unity. That's one of the things about that people have, said about black culture, is the lack of unity. Even a bunch of prestige black people publicly that have stated the same thing. There's some people that believe in the Malcolm X philosophy, and they ain't like the Martin Luther King philosophy, right? It's never, oh, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and they're together and they fight together. It's always a divide. It's always a split. Maybe the powers that be wants it that way. So does Bill Haney's statement, is it wrong? I don't believe it's wrong. But why he believes in those statements. And I believe that Bill Haney should look upon his culture. Even in the YTBC, in the YouTube boxing community, right? There is a divide. Just like Bud Crawford and Earl the True Spence. It was more than just fan bases going at odds. See, they would devalue Bud Crawford to uplift Earl Spence and vice versa. They would say Bud Crawford ain't do nothing, his resume sucks, and Earl Spence is this and that. It's never that. Yo, this is a great fight. Bud Crawford is all of this, and Earl Spence is all of that, and it's going to be a beautiful fight. Nah, you got to tear somebody down to uplift somebody up, and that's the culture in boxing when it comes to black fighters. Now with the Mexicans, the more the merrier, right? Puerto Rican culture the same way in the sport of boxing. The more the merrier, right? And I think that's the issue that Bill Haney has to add to his tweet. Maybe he didn't want to say directly what he did say the statement. I believe he did say the statement when he was debating Gabe Rosado in the Boxing Voice, and he made that statement. There's fans that appreciate black fighters. They are, but it's also a style that it speaks to every ethnicity and every culture. Is when you go out there and you put it out. You don't leave nothing in the tank. For example, Keith and Tom Thurman versus Sean Porter. After the final bell, there was a standing ovation, and it was a close fight. And in all actuality, it didn't matter who won that fight. It didn't matter to Keith Thurman. Yes, he won, but it didn't matter. Whoever won that fight, the fans won, and it was appreciated because it's not about winning and losing, but it's how you win, how you win out there, how you lose. Everybody was proud of that performance because everybody was proud of the effort. But now, it's like, it's certain fighters that adopted a mentality, the A side, I'm better than you, I make more money than you, right? And the only people that actually says that is black fighters. I got more than you and you don't got that. Did you hear that in the lead-up fight to Oscar Valdez and Navarrete? You don't hear that. Do you hear from Virgil Ortiz? Do you hear that? No. Do you hear it from Fundura? You don't hear that. Do you hear that from Andy Ruiz? You don't got this, I got more than you, I'm the A side, ha ha ha. No. It's a different type of culture. Maybe people should adopt other cultures. That's the beauty of things, ladies and gentlemen. I always say that we're one race, the human race. What makes us beautiful is different cultures, right? And some people have a unity culture. You can tell the Mexican fan base has a unity culture. They support their countrymen, win, lose, or draw. Just give us effort, and yes. So Bill Haney is right in that sense. Let me tell you like this: if Devin Haney, put it this way, if Devin Haney, the way that he took that loss to Ryan Garcia, right? And he kept on getting up and and in the post-fight interview, you know what I'm saying? He took his L like a straight up G. A lot of people respected Devin Haney because he kept on getting up. He showed cojones, he showed testicular fortitude. Yeah, he lost, but he showed grit. What people didn't like is when he sued. And that's when people started calling it weak and bitch made and stuff like that. And I think that hurt Devin Haney as well. We just talking about Devin, right? People didn't like that when things get tough, that we see Shakur Stevenson, versus Edo de los Santos. Even though that I believe Shakur Stevenson is one of the premier skills and talent fighters, right? But they didn't like the style that he ran. He basically ran from Edo de los Santos, right? People ain't like that Javante Davis took a knee when the things got tough, but also they didn't appreciate Lamar Roach. Why didn't they appreciate Lamar Roach going into the fight as a champion? Why does Stephen Fulton have to go all the way to Japan as unified champion and Inoue moving up? Where was the support? See, it's the lack of support. And then when they got all eyes on the fighters, it's always a divide. you don't hold your fighter down. Other than Gervonta Tank Davis, because he got his niche fan base, but they don't hold their fighter down like other coaches do. Look at the Ryan Garcia and the Haney situation. I said that Ryan Garcia is going to get the benefit of the doubt. It doesn't matter. Win, lose, or draw. There's a coach that's going to support you. So I think that Bill Haney should have added that in it. You know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate, but it has to do with culture.
The culture has
and when you want
change.
to change things, then culture changes.
So,
it's almost like
let me know
in the
what y'all
black
think,
community.
man. Y'all already know. Subscribe to the channel.
People, other race, and
you
what other
with Bill
ethnicity
Haney,
they go
you
into
disagree with Bill
the
Haney.
inner cities.
Could
and
there
stuff
be
like
truth
that.
to it? Could be truth to it, but why
people
is
set up
it
shop.
that way? Why
Every
is
ethnicity
it
set
that
up
black
shop?
fighters
Any other culture
have to
set up
win
shop? There's a lack of black business ownership in certain in most inner city communities. Koreans, Chinese, Caribbean, Latinos, whether it's Dominican and Puerto Rican, Mexicans, Middle Eastern, Arabics, all of them set up shop. There's a lack of service infrastructure. And when they do, and some of them prestige and premier and entrepreneurs, right? Moguls do something great, they'll sell it. And then when they try to come back into the community, when some of them come back into the community, like Nipsey Hussle, he gets killed. Paul Pierce gets stabbed. Stephon Marbury gets stabbed. They get shot at. You can't even bring back the love back into your community because it's a culture of hate as well. We understand in the sport of boxing that sometimes you got to become a villain to sell, but that's sad in itself. You got to create a villain. You got to be hated to sell. You want people to hate you to sell? That's sad. It was like that back in the days. Yeah, Muhammad Ali did his thing, but also people love Sugar Ray Leonard. People love Marvin Hagler, Aaron Pryor, Roy Jones Jr. People did love black fighters. Mike Tyson, Kid Dynamite. People did appreciate black fighters. It got to the point where the culture has abandoned the fighters. The culture don't hold them down. Why do you think when you hear Bud Crawford go to the UK and be like, man, the support out there is different? Look at Devin Haney when he went out there in the UK and there was a full gym of supporters. No haters. What's going on in the black culture that they have this hate culture or lack of support culture? Lack of unity culture. Yeah, trendsetters and many. But there's other cultures that don't want to adopt the other certain things that black culture does have. And that's one of the, one of the bad reputation that black culture does have is the lack of unity. And hopefully they could adopt other cultures because that's what makes America. Every other culture makes